Hi, we're here with TJ Miller. Yes, the original TJ Miller. I hope, are you older than him?
I don't have an age.
The other TJ Miller?
So I don't know.
Okay.
No. I'm just today.
Yeah. I had to write down all the things that I think you do, and you probably do more than this.
I probably do. I might
know.
have forgot, though. Like, I might remember some of them when you go over them.
So
I have this problem.
I know you're an actor.
Yes.
Martial artist.
Mm-hmm.
Comedian.
Okay.
Nominally.
I get paid to do that, so I guess I am a professional comedian.
If you get paid, you're a comedian.
I'm professional. That's what that means.
Yeah.
That's
musician.
Mm-hmm.
Renaissance Faire owner. I don't
Yes.
know if that's what you call it.
Yeah. I own a Renaissance Fair.
Teacher, because you teach all
I do.
your different in your different topics.
Yep.
What am I missing? Anything?
Well, today, before I came here, I was telling Native American stories in a teepee.
Okay.
At Liberty Lake Day Camp, where I teach fencing and martial arts during the summer. I own Dice Knights Adventures, which I don't even know what you classify that as. That's a booth at Renaissance fairs where people play like a Dungeons and Dragons style game. Have you seen it at Jersey, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you get a character and then you go on quests at the Renaissance Fair. It's pretty awesome.
nice. That seems like you have a
It
variety of
is.
things.
And there's
that you
probably
do.
other things on
Yeah.
there that I never got.
Well, I saw Alex showed me the video of your band.
Nothing sacred?
No, this is the
that's Dandy Pirates.
Dandy Pirates.
Yep.
I didn't get
I'm in multiple
in the
bands,
time that he
apparently.
was here. I didn't get to show him all. I was trying to show him Lord of the Adventure and.
So you saw the Dandy
I
Pirates.
saw that one, and I did hear an episode of your podcast because Alex sent me the link of that one, and that's about
cool. Yeah.
philosophy.
Yeah, the Path of Action. I was trying to recreate those 2-3 a.m. in the morning conversations you'd have in the dorm lobby, where you all solve the world's problems.
That's what it felt like to me, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what, because people don't do that. I was talking to my buddy Mike, who I do that podcast with, about how, between, like when we take breaks or whatever, we're idiots. We're playing with the effects on his soundboard and it's dumb. And then we come in and it gives you a space where that's what we're talking about. So all of a sudden we're like these serious guys, we're talking about whatever our topics are.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Should we take it roll by roll? Or
Yeah, we can, however you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm down.
So, actor.
This feels so. I feel really. This helps me feel good about myself. I'm like, wow, I do all these things. Yes, actor.
So we've seen you a lot of times in your, I don't know what they call them, small, like the events.
Our shows and stuff at the fair.
I'm thinking the ones
like Poe.
Yeah, Poe.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously you're acting in Murder Mystery.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a lot more interaction. I think the most like closest to like what people think of as acting that I do is that Poe show.
Mm-hmm. And that's what it was, Mannheim? Yeah, is that?
No, I started out there. I started at the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair. And the reason why I got involved in acting in the first place was because my friends and I one year all started going to the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair, and we would dress up like Scottish guys and eat turkey legs and talk with a Scottish accent, right? We could have saved a lot of money that year by just going in our backyard with a barbecue, because we didn't ever talk to the cast or watch shows. Like, it was just a place, and I think this is a thing actually that people like about the Renaissance Fair. It was a place where we were allowed to be Scottish guys in kilts and talking, and they had the turkey legs, which is just something like, and I think most people, what they like about the turkey leg is just the look of the turkey leg with your stuff, because they're not
eating a turkey leg is
well, it's very there's a lot of ligaments.
So once you're that first layer, you're fighting it.
Yeah.
It's much easier. The vegan turkey leg is much easier.
The vegan turkey leg. Wow. Anyway, so the only reason I started acting at all was because myself and one of my friends auditioned for the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair, so we would not have to pay to get in. And my buddy, who I did that with, he was way more into the Scottish thing than I was. He was actually Scottish, right? I just saw Braveheart and I thought it was cool. But they were going to make him be one of Queen Elizabeth's yeoman guards. And he couldn't. And number one, every time we drove out there, I would just make fun of him in the car. Like, I cannot believe that you're doing this. Our father is rolling over in his grave. It was so bad. And so he wound up quitting because he couldn't deal with being a guard to the English queen.
Being English.
Right. But that was how I started. It was just, I didn't want to pay to get in. And it turned out to be awesome. And I think that's sort of the way like adventure usually happens in your life. Like you just do something random.
Yeah.
And I had no idea that would lead to me owning a Renaissance fair and performing and all that kind of stuff, you know, so it just kind of happened. And then a couple of years later, I got into the professional acting company out there. That was the first time I was ever actually paid to act. And then a couple of years later, I was directing some shows. And then, you know, maybe I think we were like 10 years into my career out there is when we opened Jersey. So.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And Jersey's in its 11th year this year.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember we...
so where is this? I don't know.
This one is in it's Liberty Lake.
It's in Mansfield Township, but the mailing address is Bordentown, New Jersey.
Bordentown, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's near Trenton, if you're looking for a major town.
South Jersey, yep.
Yeah.
So is that the only one in New Jersey?
No, there's a couple other little ones. Like there's a Lakewood Fair. They used to have the New Jersey Renaissance Kingdom, which I think a lot of people confuse us for sometimes. But I
always thought that initially that they had moved and they were you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people thought
before
that
we came down and saw it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There was apparently a New Jersey Renaissance Fair in the past, like an actual New Jersey Renaissance Fair. And then when that was happening, there were like 3 or 4 other fairs that started. The Kingdom was one of them, and then there was like the New Jersey Renaissance and Adventure Festival or something. They all had like these weird variations of the name. And then when the New Jersey Renaissance Fair went out of business, we just happened to be doing it then. We wound up getting the name.
Oh.
And then all of those other people basically threatened to sue us because they told us that they own the name New Jersey Renaissance Fair. It was actually hilarious. I started getting calls all the time to the point where, you know, I'd know what the call was about. Mm-hmm. Somebody would be like, hey, did you decide what you're going to name your festival? And as soon as they'd say that, I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, yes.
Well, did they copyright it or trademark it?
No, we had it. We had the legal rights to the name. No this one guy, he called and he said that. He's like, well, did you decide what you're going to name your festival? And I'm like, because I knew what this conversation was going to be about. I'm like, why, yes. We're the New Jersey Renaissance Fair. And he's like, oh, that's going to be a problem. I'm like, oh, really? Oh, why? Why? He's like, well, because I own the name New Jersey Renaissance Fair. I'm like, dude, that is weird because all the people we had, they looked everywhere and they let us legally register this name. And there's this lady in North Jersey. She thinks she owns the name too. So you should talk to your people and get this squared away, man, because like nobody knows that you own the name. So that's really weird. So you get your lawyers, let us know when you figure this out and we'll square it away.
You never hear from him?
No, we never heard from him again because we legally own the name. And that was how it kind of happened. So.
Yeah.
But
so once you trademark it,
yeah, we registered it, and that's how it went. So yeah.
Now, what did you? Was that just good timing that you decided to do this when the other people went out of business?
Yeah, it would just happen. And actually, the way the Renaissance Fair, I owned a martial arts school in Robbinsville, New Jersey.
Oh. Okay.
And me and John Williams, who I do the Lords of Adventure show with. Mm-hmm. We were doing a thing at my dojo called Drama at the Dojo on Saturdays where the kids came in and they were, you know, doing acting. Mm-hmm. And we were trying to think of an end of the year, you know, some kind of show they could put on for that. And eventually we were just sitting there. We're like, dude, why don't we do a Renaissance Fair? Like, we know how to do that. So it was, you know, just a random idea we had. And then we met Andy at Liberty Lake and he had the space and it just kind of took off from there. Like, I didn't plan to have this become our main thing or have it be what it is. It just, you know, just sort of took off.
Yeah.
Because people like you guys like it and you come and you show up and you support us and we're able to keep doing this thing that everybody likes.
Yeah.
Because of that. So thanks, by the way.
So did you have to buy a piece of land? And
No, Andy, I was just talking about at Liberty. He owns Liberty Lake Day Camp.
It's a beautiful little day camp.
Right. Which is where we do the fair. So the camp runs like from June until August. It's like 8 weeks with an extra week at the end. So Andy has this property and not a lot going on at other times of the year. So he liked the idea of the Renaissance Fair, so we started doing it there with him. And he's one of our owners of the fair.
Well, that makes sense. Otherwise, would you sit empty if you don't?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you have to find different rentals. Or...
Yeah. And when we first walked in, you know, the lake is beautiful. And that amphitheater was there already.
Really?
Yeah. So they had a stage already built and, you know.
What things did you add?
The aerial stage where Shelly Buttons does her aerial acrobatics. We had an aerial stage. Mm-hmm. The Duke's Grove was
Right.
not there when we
Okay.
showed up. Last year we added the unicorn stage, which is a kid stage.
Okay. Yeah.
Some of the stages are pavilions already at the camp, like the Willows and the Vista, and what was Shakespeare's stage, which will be our adult stage this year. Those are there. They're pavilions that are already existing.
Mhm.
So we, put those guys in there.
Are you going to put the adult show down at the far end? Is that where it is now?
Yeah, it's gonna be by the where the paddle boats are.
Okay.
We're gonna move the Mead Garden, so the stage for the Mead Garden is gonna be under the big white tent, like we did at Kilt Fest. Did you go to
Okay.
Kilt Fest? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's gonna be the big white tent. Changes are happening. We're
Wow.
trying to make things,
Shocking.
cooler.
Yeah.
And when do you run it? Like,
It is
how
the last
often?
2 weekends of May and the first weekend of June.
It's only 3 weekends?
3 weekends, yes.
Okay.
It's at njrenfair.com.
Yeah.
Discounted tickets available.
Get yourself a season pass.
Yeah, please do. So
So that's, and then you mentioned the dojo. So what kind of martial arts do you teach?
I teach Jeet Kune Do, which was
Yeah,
Bruce
Bruce
Lee's.
Lee's,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was Bruce Lee's philosophy on martial arts. So you study everything you can and take what's useful. I usually start my students with a bunch of boxing for the evasion and the ability to, not get hit and that kind of stuff. And then I'm a big fan of the Filipino martial arts. So we do that. And we do Muay Thai, Wing Chun, some Savat. I have weapons classes for the Filipino martial arts where we do knife and stick work. I study Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's kind of grappling. Wrestling is sort of my weakest thing that I started latest. So I take those classes. We incorporate a little grappling, but I have a fencing class, a beginner fencing class there. So
Because you do the fencing and you do stage fighting too.
right.
Um,
Well, that's our one show, The Lords of Adventure,
yeah.
which is a comedy sword fighting show
Yeah.
where we do stage combat, which is the goal of fighting is to defeat your opponent. The goal of stage combat is to make your opponent look good,
Yeah.
whether or not they win or lose the fight. Like if everybody's job in stage combat is to make the people on stage look good.
Yeah.
So if you're doing that and I'm doing that and you're doing that, then everybody's looking good and the fight looks good,
Mhm.
right? So yeah, and we tell kids sometimes because we go do school shows, and it's not my job. When I fight with John in our show, I'm not trying to hurt him because it's what I do for a living. So if I hurt the guy who's my partner,
Yeah.
then I can't eat lunch anymore, and I love lunch. So yeah, it's important.
Yeah. Do you have to? I guess you have to really point that out to the students, huh?
Yeah, kids and little kids, or depending, we do a lot of school shows and things, so they don't really necessarily get the fact about what it's about. Like they see these
it's a
fights,
play.
and even though they're dumb, I mean the fights are dumb, right? They're stupid.
I agree.
They're like beautifully stupid. That's what they're about. It's like like Looney Tunes kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're comedy. They're comedy fights. So, but even with that, even still, like I still get people. I've even had adults come up to us at the fair. I'm like, I can't believe you lost to that guy. I'm like, yeah, oh yeah, my brother's awesome. He's so good at it. Whoa.
I guess those are the same people who believe wrestling is real.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
Now the Jersey Fair every year, as most Renaissance fairs do, has a theme or a narrative running
Mhm.
through it.
Yep.
Did you always have the narrative?
Yes. I really enjoy what our fair does because a lot of times if you're going to be a Renaissance fair and be set in that specific time period, it kind of limits the plots you can do and
Yeah,
such.
exactly.
So, it can be like, you got Robert Dudley or like Walter Raleigh, not big names, that a lot of people in 21st century America have any idea about. So what our artistic director, Phil, came up with was this idea that our village at the fair, we call it Crossford, is on the edge of this magical woods. And so every year during, the solstices or the equinoxes or whatever, it brings forward people who are about to make a bad decision in their life. Somebody had a history or myth or legend. And then the people of Crossford and the Duke and Duchess, who are our head nobles in charge, they helped get them back on the right path. Like our first year, it was Maid Marian. She was going to marry the sheriff of Nottingham, right? Which history is like, that's not what's supposed to happen. So they brought her there and got her back on the right path.
Mm-hmm.
So what that allows us to do is, even though the village itself is set in, I think we're 1568 this year, and we've been doing just 1 year every year.
Oh, okay.
So our first year, actually, we realized Queen Mary was still the Queen of England. It was like the last year of Queen Mary's reign. So, but it's been a Queen Elizabeth Fair ever since. So it allows us to have characters, you know, like we've had King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table come. We've had the Three Musketeers. I got to play William Wallace one year, which was awesome. That's my favorite role I've ever done. And we had William Shakespeare there one year, who had writer's block.
Right.
That was the year that all his characters got sucked out of his brain.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that was fun.
We had Brunhilde. Grace O'Malley was there one year. Queen Elizabeth was there. And even though she was the queen, it was sort of a younger version of herself.
Right.
Who came.
Yeah.
So it gives us a lot of creative freedom and the ability to have a better Mickey Mouse.
Right.
Than, because like, you know, for like people here, like, you got to come to the Jersey Renaissance Fair because Martin Frobisher is going to be there. You know, and people are like, okay. But if you say, you know, if it's the Three Musketeers, you know, then people know who that is. Or like, oh, it's Robin Hood. And at our 11th year, we're actually going back to our roots. And Robin Hood and the Merry Men are coming back this year.
Oh, cool.
And the first year it was Robin Hood. This year, the first time it was Maid Marian at her crossroads. This year it's Will Scarlet. Mm-hmm. So he has to decide if he's going to join up with the Merry Men or like, you know, avoid prosecution with the sheriff or whatever. Okay. So, yeah.
Do you sit him down like Dr. Phil and ask questions?
We had to sit him down. We just talk. No, usually the way it works is they show up in the beginning of the day and then realize that they're in a different time and place, you know. And then usually there's a challenge happens and we have a chess match. There's a human chess match where that's supposed to solve everything, but that never solves everything, right? So then they got to go figure out everything at the big final joust, you know, because something went wrong there. And then at the end of the day, we sing about it. We have our day's end show.
I think you should do a Dr. Phil segment.
Yeah, we totally could. That could be one of our. That could be a new show.
Fun,
yeah, that could be your character. You could come in. You could be that guy.
Host it.
Be like,
I'll be out of the time period.
Yeah. So it's
my TARDIS is over here.
Yeah. There's a lot of, most of the Renaissance fairs at some point in their run will have a TARDIS there. Because usually, like most fairs now have like a time traveler's weekend. Yeah. Where all these Doctor Who's show up. Yeah. And I'm sure there's going to be Witchers coming out of our backsides this year. Yeah. Because that's the popular thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Someone's going to bring soap.
Yeah. Well, you know, the thing is, in the Renaissance, we know that if you wash off all of your protective dirt that you have, then that's how people get the plague. Because you have to have a few layers. So you don't want to bathe more than like once every 3 weeks, months, something like that.
Yeah,
we are much more. Our modern science tells us how sophisticated we are here in the Renaissance.
I was so like, I like soap. I don't know if I want to go back to this.
Yeah.
Toothpaste is kind of nice.
You don't want to live in Renaissance England.
I don't want to live 50 years behind.
No.
Where we are now.
Yeah.
I like seat belts, airbags.
Yeah. Well, we had a bunch of friends when 300 came out. Who were like, I wish I lived in Sparta. It's like, do you have a pimple? Because if you do, they would have thrown you off a cliff when you were a baby. So just that. We won't go into any of the other stuff. So
yeah.
I mean, it seems like an interesting thing to go, you know, hang out and do whatever.
Well, that's the thing with the Renaissance Fair. We love like the romance of it, and we tidy it up. Like there's some things people want. Like people want refrigeration for their food that they're getting, right?
Big fan.
Yeah, big fan. Flush toilets are a big hit at the Renaissance fairs. Didn't have those in the back in the Renaissance.
And some Renaissance fairs still don't.
Yes. We were lucky about that. We do have a set of flush toilets.
Beautiful facilities.
But the only one I ever went to was the one in upstate New York. Not upstate, but whatever it is.
Tuxedo Park.
Tuxedo,
yeah. Mm-hmm. We get a lot of casts that works there. They're much bigger than we are.
Yeah.
They've been around for, I think, like 30 years or whatever, where this is our 11th season going up. So
yeah, they've been around for a long time. But okay, so you're so every year you cast.
Yes, we have auditions in January.
And I guess at that point you know what characters you need,
right?
Or are you ever surprised that you're like, oh, this person's good, but they don't fit a role that we have yet? Right.
We have on occasion gotten people who audition so well, and we decide that we need them, and we will make a role for them. We usually go in. We tend to have on our principal cast, which is our cast who does the main plot shows and the fights and chess and all that kind of stuff. We tend to have between like 10 to 15 professional actors who are there, and they rehearse pretty much full time for about that 2 weeks leading up to fair. So yeah, we will occasionally, if we got somebody who's really good that we don't want to lose and we want to use, we'll make a roll for them periodically. But we also have to be mindful of our budget too. Like I said, we're still a young-ish business. So, and in outdoor theater, it's precarious. You know, like if we had a bad last year, if we would have had the year we had 2 years ago, that we would not be doing that this year.
Yeah.
Like we wound up having a really good year last year, which was great. And it's really all about the weather.
Yeah, 2 years ago it was really rainy.
Really bad. Like we were literally, we had no money going into last year at all. It was bad. Like we were, like I said, if we didn't have a good year last year, that would have been the last year of the New Jersey Renaissance Fair. So we got to do that now too. We got to just be mindful of our budget, you know?
Yeah.
Like I can't get, like a lot of times I'll have fans and stuff who will write me and be like, you know, you need to get this act, you know, this musical, they're great and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, I just can't get luxury items yet at this point in time. Like we only pay for stuff that, you know, we need. Yeah. You know, I need a certain amount of music. I got a certain amount of stage times I have to fill. But after that, it doesn't really matter how good you are. And usually that's the thing. The really popular, really good bands and stuff or acts are really expensive. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. Well,
so
and you don't have a cover set. It's all outdoors.
We have several of our stages have covers over them. But the problem is people just don't, if they,
they don't come out.
Even the threat of rain.
Yeah.
Actually, the forecast is actually more important to whether or not people show up than the actual weather. Like if they say there's like a 25% chance of rain and it's a beautiful day, people still don't come.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen just cloudy days where people are not showing up because it's cloudy.
And they just worry about it.
They don't want to go outside.
Yeah.
I can see that. I mean, it makes sense.
But, and people will tend to wait. So we usually have a really big day on the last day. Because all those people who were like waiting for the perfect weather and then they realize they don't have any other chance.
The last one.
Yeah. So then they show up there. So usually our last day is usually our biggest day.
And if you're doing 3 weekends, you're kind of locked in to those 3 weekends.
Right.
So that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I always, it's funny because I would tend to go more on a gray kind of a little bit rainy day rather than the hot days.
It's better.
But the hot days
it's a better
get
time.
people out.
Really?
And because you'll see the lines for food. People are like, they get hungry and they get, so the food vendors are very happy on those days.
Yeah.
But I'm always, I always admire the actors because they go through so much of the weather. And
they really do.
You know, they're either soaked or they're soaked from rain or soaked from sweat.
Right. And if you're listening to this, come on an overcast day. You're going to have a much better time. There's going to be less lines. It's much more pleasant than those 95-degree.
Yeah.
Don't do that to yourself.
Yeah.
First of all, everybody's miserable. The actors, everybody. So, you know, you're going to have a much better time. And we're so happy to see you on those days. A lot of the people who come to fair all the time, those are the people who show up on the rain days because they know something different and interesting is going to happen.
Yeah.
Because it's just a weird day all around,
right?
And we actually have our social media people who've been doing marketing stuff for us. They've been trying to pitch the idea that we're rain or shine and like there's stuff to do even if it is raining.
Yeah,
you know, those are good days to come out.
Yeah,
because it's hard.
And it is. I always find it interesting when if you do get a small crowd, weird things happen because the actors are like, whatever.
Whatever. This is weird. Like, all right, we're doing this?
We're gonna experiment with this and see, how this works. You know, it's like working a small club as a comedian, trying new material.
That's when all your new material comes out.
Yeah. Now I know you have professional actors, but but anybody can try out, and I know there like some friends of ours that I don't think have ever acted. They came out this year, and at least one of them is in the show.
Yeah, and they are, because we also have, I talked about our principal cast. We have our supporting cast, which is the most important people on the whole place for making a Renaissance Fair. And they're mostly volunteers. And they rehearse. We're starting to rehearse a week from today. Mm-hmm. So every Sunday from March 8th until we open the fair, they will be there working 8 hours a day, rehearsing, developing their characters, and they are the people who create the village that we have.
And they wander around.
Yeah. They're the most important part of any fair, and virtually, I don't think any fairs, some of them do, have the budget because you need so many of them. So you can't pay them what they're worth.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, at the same time, we've talked about this too, me and John and Phil and everybody. Like, the training you get during those 10 weeks, it's basically actor boot camp, right? Because a Renaissance Fair day is the most rewarding and hardest acting job you're ever going to have.
Yeah.
Because you're going pretty much 10 hours for that whole day. It's not like being in a play. Like, if you're playing, if you're playing Tybalt in Romeo and Juliet, you go on stage and you beat Tybalt, and the audience is there, and there's definitely live theater. The audience and the actors make that happen.
Yeah.
But what I love about interactive theater is you get to be Tybalt, and then you come off the stage, and then you meet those people.
Yeah,
so
you're interacting, and
right?
You never know what they're going to throw at you.
It's awesome. I play, when I'm in Lords of Adventure, I play Roger Awesome. And during the day at the Renaissance Fair, I'm in character. I'm Roger Awesome. And I sort of think about it as, have you ever read Carlos Castaneda?
Yeah.
Okay. One of the things his teacher made him do, he was training with this Yaqui Indian sorcerer, and he made him dress up as a woman and go out in the world and convince the world that's
right, yeah,
that he was a woman and be a woman in this situation as a powerful, spiritual experience, because it wasn't him being him. We're all used to being us, but that's the thing that makes the interactive performers good, is when they can really inhabit and own their character. And for me, that's a powerful experience in a similar fashion, right? I'm going out and being this person, no matter what it is, whether it's Roger Awesome, Edgar Allan Poe, Swabby Johnson, any of these characters I play, they're not like me. I'm not a big boisterous guy or whatever if you see me at a party. Like, I'll talk to you, but I don't like doing that. I don't like TJ Miller. I don't like being the center of attention.
Yeah,
I'd rather hang out.
Talk to TJ Miller. He's very low key.
Yeah. But these other people are these big things, and you convince people that that's who you are. And when you stay in character like that, it's a truly powerful, awesome experience.
Yeah.
And I find it very akin to that thing that he had Carlos Castaneda do, in that sort of powerful way, right? And that's why I don't really break character. And there are people who come to fair all the time who get like aggravated with you because they think they're our buddies now and they're like in on it. And I'll still stay in character and like, no, it's 1567. I don't know.
I like when you stay in character, because
that's what makes the fair cool, and it's very interesting.
Because I want to see how, if I mention a modern item or convenience or reference, how is that character going to handle that, and react to it and
take a selfie.
I love selfies.
Right? Yeah.
I don't think you should take them though, because when they take off their sealskin, right, you got to let them be free. Like, that's not crazy. You know what I mean? Like, and selkies are people that, in case you don't know what he's talking about, those seals from the western coast of Ireland, and sometimes at night in the moonlight they'll take off their sealskin and do that. But you know what we should do? We should sit here and think about it for a second. And that's sort of, you know what I mean? Like, you find ways to incorporate that stuff. And everybody has their own,
Did you have any training besides
just the Renaissance Fair?
You just did it.
I had my first acting class with our artistic director, Phil Life, like 2 years ago. Me and John.
Oh, really?
It was our first acting class because we just took his acting class, which is funny because we just kind of do it now.
Yeah.
And we had this class with Phil, and it was
what kind
awesome.
of new things did you get out of that?
Acting is doing.
Huh?
Like, for example, if I'm acting and I want to drink this IPA, I just drink the IPA. Now, I don't act that I'm going to drink this IPA now, right? So it's just like, and that was the whole thing, acting is doing, which we do anyway.
Okay.
We never had anybody put it to words, but it was so cool. And like, me and John do that all the time. We're like, we'll be talking to Phil and we're like, hey, Phil, acting is doing. Like, if you want to unlock the door, just unlock the door.
Is Phil an acting coach?
Phil is our artistic director. Yeah. And Phil is like
training,
college educated, like Meisner method, like actor, like he's got, I don't know whether he's got a master's or doctorate or whatever, but like, he's really good. Like, we love auditions because Phil gives the people coming in notes about their monologues and stuff. And we're just like, whoa,
We're gonna have to for future episodes. We're gonna have to just pull from the entire New Jersey Renaissance Fair cast. And
oh yeah,
one by one.
They're all interesting.
Interesting. I wouldn't talk to them.
You heard we just did our last episode of our podcast, The Path of Action. I actually interviewed John.
I heard some of that.
Yeah, because everybody you meet at the Renaissance Fair has got some stories.
Yeah,
John was in the circus. He ran a leopard show. Like it's crazy, and it just feels so normal to us. Like I say this about John, but like I mean, yeah, like when you told me like, yeah, we talked to interesting people, so we wanted you to come on. I'm like, well, I'm not interesting.
Well, that's what everyone says.
That's what everybody says.
Every single person.
And that's sort of the point of our Lords of Adventure thing, which is just like everybody, because we wrote this adventure handbook, which is it's like a pocket size, thing for being an adventurer in your daily life. And the whole point of the book is you're all Lords of Adventure, like, you are, and it's just realizing that,
And it's funny because I heard you talk about that and how, Lords of Adventure is a comedy show, but the booklet is serious.
Mm-hmm.
And then people are like, oh.
Yeah, wait, what?
But it's a serious, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So.
Now, how'd you get started with martial arts? How old were you when you did that?
I was in 6th grade, and I'd seen a lot of Bruce Lee movies on TV. I started actually with a Chinese martial arts class that came to my elementary school. And they did like 6 weeks, twice a year, I think. So I did that for a couple of years, and then I wound up going. It was Green Dragon Chinese martial arts, and they had a school on McGuire Air Force Base at the time. So I did that for like 3 seasons, and then I went over there and trained with them a while. And I did a lot of traditional martial arts through high school, and then I got into. And then when I found Jeet Kune Do, the place I started going to was Princeton Academy of Martial Arts, and it was the first time I ever felt like we were really training to fight. Mm-hmm. It was the first time I'd ever actually hit anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like everything else we did was just shadow boxing in the air and all that stuff, and like we were hitting. It felt like a boxing gym.
Just katas and going through.
Yeah, just katas and doing the motions. Like I couldn't apply any of that stuff, And it was the first time. It was just practical applications of things. It was awesome. Huh. So, and that's what I like about Jeet Kune Do. It's you're supposed to. Every once in a while, you hear people say, like, this style is better than Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do.
That always used to be the argument. You would go and argue with other kids because you're taking this class. And
right. But that's the thing with Jeet Kune Do. To me,
it's everything.
It's like the Constitution, right? Mm-hmm. You're supposed to be able to change it. So if somebody tells me the style they have is better than Jeet Kune Do, I'm like, well, okay, we're going to steal that then. Because if what you're doing is more effective, then that's what Jeet Kune Do is. That's like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Everybody, every Jeet Kune Do instructor... Right.
It's everything. Whatever works.
And that was what Bruce Lee and Dan Inosanto were doing in the 70s.
Well, he was the first one.
Yeah.
As far as
he would love the UFC, I think.
Oh, I'm sure. Because that's what he was trying to do. He's just taking stuff that works, putting it together.
Mm-hmm. And actually getting past all your own BS and this stuff. Because I tell my students a lot, like, a lot of people train for the way they wish fighting was as opposed to the way it actually is, So you got to be honest with yourself. And that's one thing I like about violence, right? It suffers no lies. Like at the end of the thing, you can have all the theories and ideas you want. But if you're laying there knocked out at the end, like you got to accept and admit that it doesn't work like you thought it was going to work, and then figure it out. And that's what Bruce Lee did. He did a thing with Judo Jean LaBelle and he got choked out. So he's like, wow, I better do some grappling. So it's important.
Yeah, we used to argue when we were kids. I started with judo, probably same reason, watching Bruce Lee movies.
Yep.
And then the karate class would come out and we would argue, with kids.
Yeah,
which one's better?
Which one's better? And then you have your own Ultimate Fighting Championship.
Learn both.
There are probably a lot of Ultimate Fighting Championships behind like elementary school kids' houses, before that ever happened.
Little fight clubs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You rip your shirt off like Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Do the nose thing.
That's important.
You have to do that.
Yeah, but that to me, like in my brain, like Jeet Kune Do is the perfect style because it's not a style. Like, and like I said, every Jeet Kune Do instructor I know does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because that stuff's great on the ground. They use boxing for punching because those guys hit really hard. They know how to do that.
Chokes and holds, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Part of it.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff. I love it. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much my passion. Like if I was, like what am I? I like martial arts teacher. I think is probably the main, thing. Good friend of mine, Emmy, she's one of my assistants at the dojo there. She said that too. Like she's like, man, you're so like 3 weeks ago we opened the school, and so I've been teaching like 20 classes a week, and she's like, you're so much happier. Like, yeah, like my energy's back. Cause I've been teaching like 1 day a week for like the past 10 years. We'll get the Renaissance Fair rolling.
Yeah.
And it's awesome having a whole schedule because these people are getting so good so fast. I'm able to break things down. Oh, it's so nice.
So what is your school? We might as well mention it.
It is the Ludus Academy of Martial Arts. It's in Mount Holly, New Jersey. actionjkd.com. And like I said, yeah, we've been there for 3 weeks. And
you just opened? Like this is
just opened, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, during the winter, they were getting the building ready and all this kind of stuff. It's a warehouse space in Mount Holly, New Jersey, which is interesting. Interesting town. There's a methadone clinic right across the street. So when we go in for class at 6 a.m. to do our cardio kickboxing, they're waiting, for their
cardio.
Yeah. And it's a cool little town. It's very up and coming. There's all kinds of brew pubs in town, and it's a cool little place. Yeah.
They had their own little Renaissance Fair last year. Right?
Yeah, they have a couple times they've done Pillage the Village and all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
is that what you're doing? Look at that. It's almost like you planned this.
Very appropriate.
I forgot that.
You guys are professional.
I did wear, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so.
Nice.
I forget where I was going with this. I wrote some things down because there's so many things.
Well, I saw the band. You showed me the Pirates.
The Dandy Pirates.
Dandy Pirates.
Oh, yeah,
that was a comedy. Oh, you still doing that? Or?
We still do it when we can. My buddy Dragan moved to Florida. Okay. And he's come up to do the Renaissance Fair a couple times. I'd love to get him back. It's really hard for me because when he comes up and we do the Dandy Pirates, we do an after hours concert on Saturday. And my day when the Renaissance Fair is open starts at like 4:45. And then I'm doing the Lords of Adventure because I still do that show too. Yeah. So I change costumes, change character, usually do like 3 sets of Dandy Pirates, 2 sets of Lords of Adventure. Then when fair's over, we do a concert that doesn't end until 11. So you're talking about a 18, 19, 20-hour day. And they're not, Renaissance Fair days are not easy.
Right? Well, it's hot or, maybe or it's rainy and you're, yeah.
Well, the only thing I've ever done that has come anywhere close to how tired I am at the end of a Renaissance Fair day, and I've done martial arts seminars, like all this kind of stuff, is a really big, like 28, 30-mile day on the Appalachian Trail. That's the only time I've ever been that exhausted because to me, if you do it right, like the way me and John do it, when you're interacting, there is no stopping during the day. Like our characters believe that they never tire. So we don't get tired during the fair day. Like it's a character choice.
Yeah.
And we go, like I have a problem stopping. Because for me, to stop and rest during the fair day,
because acting is doing.
Acting is doing. Phil, I've taught your method now to another person.
That's it. That's what he got out of Meisner.
That's what I got out of Meisner. Acting is doing. I'm a trained actor now. Phil's probably cringing and doing
still the after hours concerts
they're great times.
Huge.
I have somebody else to run them this year.
Yeah.
It's because I can't.
These all comedy. Yeah. Like,
no.
Yeah, they are actually. I mean, it's not necessarily.
Yeah.
All the people who do it are comic acts.
Yeah. But they're.
I mean, I heard 2 songs and they're pretty funny.
Thank you. So
sandwiches and what
we
else?
had
ethnomonogamy.
Ethnomonogamy. Yeah. Interesting story about ethnomonogamy. So when we did the Florida Renaissance Fair, me and Dragan, when we were writing ethnomonogamy, we're like, I don't know how edgy we should be with this dude, right? So you notice the verses are about like there's like the white girl and then the Inuit girl and then the Asian girl, right? Yeah. Which is probably pretty it's pretty racist itself to be like, these are safe racists to make, So
far, yes.
So we did that song, we wrote it, and just a little background. First of all, Dandy Pirates, Ethnomonogamy, look it up because it's a funny song on YouTube.
It is. Yeah.
So what ethnomonogamy is like when you're dating one person of each race. So you can be an ethnomonogamist. Like I only have one white girlfriend, one black girlfriend, one Asian girlfriend, one Native American girlfriend, whatever. So we were debating like, should we have a verse for like, for like a Hispanic girl or like a black girl or whatever. And we're like, I don't know. So when we were doing the Florida Renaissance Fair, we had this giant contingent of fans from like the local college. Like all these like black girls from the college would come every weekend to see our show, right? And we're walking out of our show one time and they see us. They're like, the Dandy Pirates! Woo! Ethno-monogamy! When do we get our verse? Right?
See, I was going to say, they probably complained you didn't write it.
Yeah, it was the thing. And I think like, and that's the thing with comedy, like to be good, you got to be kind of brave with it.
You got to push the limits.
Yeah, you got to push the limits.
And
And that's what we said. We've been talking about it. We've been kind of writing that stuff so that, we just don't have time to work together much, but we're like, like we need that. We need that verse.
Yeah.
Like that's what people want to hear, like they want to hear that stuff because, I think that's like we all in the country in general, like we need to talk about stuff.
Yeah.
Like if we can't laugh about stuff, then we can't.
Well, it's a funny song anyway. So like,
Yeah.
defend them.
I think that's my favorite. Some of the ladies that I hang out with like sandwiches, but
Sandwiches, me. I wrote sandwiches.
yeah.
You got to eat. So.
You got to eat. Everybody makes sandwiches.
He thought we showed that at first, and he was like, "Are all their songs about food?"
I'm thinking like maybe have a whole album like pizza, sandwiches.
We should do that. That's actually
Soup.
good.
Like
The culinary album.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna do that, and I'm not gonna credit you at all. I'm sorry.
You're welcome to have this.
Thank you.
It's all
Thank you.
yours.
Most of our songs are about. We try to find because most of all of them are about like the whole premise of the Dandy Pirates was that they are the worst guys ever. Like they're just like
the worst.
my character Swabby Johnson is so bad of a person.
Yeah.
Awful person.
Well, Swabby's much worse than I forget his
Winthrop.
Winthrop. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Swabby, because that started because we were at the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair and we were talking about how it didn't matter what our characters were actually like, as long as they were kind of adorable. Like the people at the fair just loved them. So I was like, I want to make this character who's going to be like adorable and hilarious, but he's just a bad person. It's kind of based on Stewie a little bit from Family Guy.
Yeah.
Like I would go around. I was the guy, our buddy Justice, who was playing the mayor at the time. I decided that he owed me money. So, and talking to patrons, like people who were there, like I'd go to him and be like, oh, hey, oh, Lord Mayor. Hey, when are you gonna get that money that you owe me? He's like, oh, Swabby, I'll see you later. I'm like, all right, cool. And then, but by the end of the day, I'm like, yo, you know something? Your daughter, she's a pretty girl. It'd be really bad if something happened to her face. And he's like, what are you saying? I'm like, I'm saying it'd be bad if something happened to your daughter's face. What, you don't think it'd be bad? Like, what are you, some kind of sicko? You don't believe that? And I got parents, like there was like a little kid there. And this dad, I'm like, you can't have people owing you money. People think you go soft. And he's like, yeah, you can't have people go, And people were just like, they loved it because like it was ridiculous. But, like if you listen to stuff I was actually saying, it was horrible. He's a horrible, horrible human. Swabby Johnson.
Yes.
That's the whole point. Like our one song, which was pretty much our biggest hit song, was "Let Me Be That Douche."
Douche. That's what I was thinking of right away.
Right.
I didn't hear that.
So the song like
just
starts
the
with
title.
like you got the
I like the
girl.
title.
Yeah, you got the girl, and she's really sad in the bar, and it's like I can tell you've been hurt and all this kind of stuff. And it looks like you're gonna do something that you might regret. Let me be that douche. Let me be that guy. I'm not gonna return your calls, all this kind of stuff. But I mean, if you're gonna settle for me. Right? So, but they're just these bad guys who don't realize it, and it's and it's a little bit of social commentary in there because actually Dragan has said that like he's gone out just as himself and done some of our songs.
Oh yeah.
And it's pretty uncomfortable. Like when you don't have the character.
Yeah.
When you're not these idiot pirates from like the 1700s.
Just some guy in jeans.
Yeah, like when you're just a guy out there singing like ethno-monogamy or like, let me be that douche or like whatever.
Like a regular pub.
Yeah, like you said, it's really weird because people kind of like, do you think this stuff? Like he's had girlfriends who were like, I don't like the Dandy Pirates. And I totally get it. You don't want to date those guys because they're awful humans.
Yes.
That's the whole point of the band.
It's a character, but if you completely take it out,
you take the character,
it's a character.
It's weird.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I think bars would enjoy.
That would be even funnier.
A Dandy Pirate.
I think I would enjoy seeing somebody do those lyrics in a regular pub without people knowing it's a joke.
Yeah.
It's like that was totally Andy Kaufman. He could do it.
But we had a really big like fans love the Dandy Pirates. Renaissance Fair owners like hated them.
Really?
Yeah, like people would get mad. They'd book us, and then they get mad at us for doing what we did.
Yeah.
And I'm like, did you watch the press kit? Because it's not like we're hiding. Like, this is what the deal is. You know, like the first year we went to Florida, like the owner was really mad. He's like, what are these? And the artistic director guy comes to us and he's like, what are you guys doing? And I'm like, the same stuff in the video I showed you. I'm like, why did you put me on a stage right next to the carousel?
Yeah.
Right. And then they moved us back to the dirty stage, and then it was fine. Like I said, because the fans love it. You know,
I think it was a kids act. I mean,
they had the video.
Yeah.
So I don't, you know, I'm like, it's not like we're doing new material. Like, we showed you what we do. Like,
Yeah.
it's just, you know.
But the name, it sounds like, you're dapper and handing out candy. I don't know.
We do that too.
They don't pay attention.
That's yes.
It's the pot candy.
So now it's only musical comedies you don't think you do, or do you?
No, we do. Yeah.
How many bands are you in? Because every time I see you, you're in a new band.
I know.
Just tonight, you told me about a new band that.
Yeah. All right. So
I don't know.
the main band I'm in right now is Nothing Sacred, which is, we are not a comedy band. We are, and we do some comedy stuff in our bits and stuff, but we do Celtic, Irish music, which mainly is because we know a guy named Paul Kennedy, who is so good as a musician.
Yeah.
Like and he plays everything. Like, he got a hurdy-gurdy, and within 10 minutes is like just playing it.
Oh, is he going to be playing it?
I think he is. Yeah, he just ordered a new one. He's got a hurdy-gurdy. You know what I have a problem with bands? He's got a hurdy-gurdy problem. Because he just ordered his third hurdy-gurdy.
Oh, God.
And they're not cheap.
Yeah.
Right? But he's awesome. He plays the fiddle. He plays pretty much anything you give him, he will play within like 5 minutes. So, and another reason Nothing Sacred is happening is because, you know the Righteous Blackguards?
Yes.
Yes. It's a band that plays at our fair who is very popular with all of our people. Like, we get a lot of people come to fair.
They're really funny and fun.
They're great. Yeah. They're awesome. It's a 4-man band. But at this point in time, two of the guys live in Pennsylvania. One of the guys lives in Florida. The other guy lives in California. They all got kids. We are the only show that they do anymore. So I don't know how much longer they're going to be performing. Yeah. So I kind of want to have a backup. Yeah. Guy band. That sings like pirate songs and Celtic songs and stuff like that. Yeah. So there's Nothing Sacred. Now, Slapping Patty with Consent.
Right, that's the one.
That is the one I started in Louisiana with my buddy Andrew McKee. Mm-hmm. And that was just us. We would play, at a place, Dave's Mini Donuts, which is a shop at the fair. It sells awesome. They sell like small donuts. Really great people. We love them. They make breakfast sandwiches, but we would play on their deck, and we played a couple other places around the Shire. And then the Dandy Pirates, which I do when I can with Dragon. I wish I could do it more. There's a guy who does our fair with us called Taryn, and we usually at the Smithville Renaissance Fair will play on the street, and we are something else. Something else. There's something
that's
else.
The name of the band.
Yes, yeah.
I thought you were bragging.
No, that's see, that's the name of the band. It's brilliant, right? This is what I mean about band names.
Yeah.
Like, if I want to start a band with you, it's mainly just because I have some weird band name in my brain. And I need somebody to have it.
I'll keep that in mind.
Another thing coming. That was one I started. We had like a day. And even if I'm doing something during the day with a person for one time. So those are the active bands that I'm involved in.
Right.
Nothing Sacred, Slapping Patty with Consent, and the Dandy Pirates.
Are they all Celtic music, or what do you play?
Well, I don't know that the Dandy Pirates are Celtic music.
Not that one.
Slapping Patty with Consent is very. It's basically stuff I play with Nothing Sacred when we were in Louisiana.
So much stuff. Okay.
Yeah. Because I didn't have the band there, and my buddy Andrew McKee, who's an awesome musician and plays flutes and stuff. So we just started playing together on the street, and I would do a lot of the Nothing Sacred songs. And we did that. We, as Nothing Sacred, just had probably the coolest gig I've ever had. We got to do a burn supper in Manhattan.
Oh, yeah.
At the Players Club, which was an actor society kind of thing that was founded by Edwin Booth. Do you know who Edwin Booth is?
No.
Well, Booth's a famous family of actors. So
yes, they are.
Booth Theater is still there.
Edwin Booth was the greatest actor of his day, but then his brother killed the president.
Yeah, John Wilkes kind of screwed that up, so the Booth name was kind of dragged through the mud.
But anyway, this is his acting society he started. And on Wednesdays, apparently, Jimmy Kimmel comes in during the day and practices pool in the room where the bar is.
Mhm.
You know, the whole place is beautiful. And the third floor, they have the apartment and study that Edwin Booth had. They have left as he left it, like they dust. But it is his room and his study are the way he left it when he died in like the early 1900s. Awesome stuff.
Cool.
Great gig. Oh my gosh, it was awesome. Yeah.
Oh, you did that recently?
We did that in January. Yep. For Robert Burns was like the poet laureate of Scotland. Like people who are big into Scottish culture, they love William Wallace and Robert Burns.
Yeah, we just did our first Burn Supper.
Did you go to the Celtic Society one?
The Celtic Society, South Jersey.
South Jersey Celtic Society. I am the chair of the Renaissance Fair board and a member of the South Jersey Celtic Society.
And they provide the
beer
at the fair.
And the whiskey tasting at the New Jersey Renaissance Fair.
Yeah, the whiskey tasting is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is super fun.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and it's fun to go to. They recite, Robert Burns' poetry. Some of which is surprisingly
dirty.
Explicit.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he also wrote things like he wrote Old Lang Syne.
Yeah.
And My Love Is Like a Red, Red Rose.
Yeah.
It's newly sprung in June.
It all depends when he was drinking, when he wasn't.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Because anyway,